Okay, so welcome everyone to the call. What we are going to talk about tonight is the men's conference that we went to. When was it? Not this past weekend, but the weekend before this. And there was eight of us, eight men that went down there in Dallas, and it was the first ever men's conference. It wasn't officially hosted by Beachbody. It was put on by some male top coaches, a lot of our founding coaches. It was hosted by Jimmy Hayes Nelson and Dave Ward, and they asked a lot of the top coaches, the millionaire coaches that founded this organization, to speak at this event. They also brought in a couple guest speakers. Bo Easton was one of the speakers. He was great. And Robert Hudgens, our upline, as well as Mark Briggs. They were on a panel and they spoke. So what I thought, that we would do is I would ask each of the guys that were there at the conference to pick a topic of something that, spoke to them and share that with you guys. So we're going to kind of divide it up, and that's why I listed all the speakers and I listed, what we're going to talk about in general. We can always, deviate, go down rabbit holes and things like that. But at the end, I'll open it up to questions. So whatever you guys have. But I'll just start it off, and we'll each take like 5-minute segments. Don't hold us to that exactly, but we'll each share what we have, and then we'll pass it off to the next person. So I said that I'd start, and a couple things that spoke to me were some of the top coaches. I don't know if you guys know Keith Callahan or Bob Lucio. They're two top coaches, and they were one of the first speakers that spoke to us. And they talked about, building volume and building your organization and things like that. And that's things that really hit home for me because, I really want to grow this team. I really want to help you guys grow. One of the things that they mentioned is, that me as, one of the leaders of this team, that I need to share my vision with you guys, because if you don't know where I'm going, or if you don't know what my goals are, then how are you going to help me fulfill them, right? We all need to go together, right? So I'm just going to tell you, my vision, some of my goals of where I want us to go as a team. Now, of course, I have individual goals, Of course, I want to be elite and I want to be 10-star this year. But, more importantly, I want our team to grow. And that's my number one focus. If I had to choose, I would always choose, our team growing, our volume growing, the number of coaches growing. That's by far more important. So, my goals in that aspect are, I want Team Engage to be as well known as like the Bombshell dynasties. Everybody knows that name. And even before Lindsay Matway became top coach, everybody knew the Bombshells. It wasn't just because of Lindsay. It was because their team was exploding. Their team was, doing amazing stuff. If you're not muted, please mute up because I'm starting to hear a little bit of background noise. So I want our team to be recognized, and it doesn't matter if you guys are on sub teams, if you're on Phoenix or Noble team or whatever, it doesn't really matter, because I'm sure Bombshell has sub teams as well. But we're all still part of Team Engage, just like we're all part of, Elite Stronghold. So, I want us to grow as a team. And, my goal over the next 5 years is I want our team to have 20,000 coaches. I mean, just think of the amount of people that we can help if we had 20,000 coaches. Right now we're at 1,500 coaches. And Scott and I, when we started this, with when we had like maybe 4 coaches when we started Team Engage, we never thought we'd have 1,500, So 20,000 seems like this huge number to us, right? To all of us, but we're going to get there, you know? And if we just keep doubling our team every year, in 5 years, we're going to get there, you know? So, I mean, just think about that, you know? I mean, that's what the Bombshell has now. They have 20,000. So, you know, we are going to get there. You know, it's just a matter of putting a process in place, you know, having you guys take off. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of this year, I want to double, you know, so my goal for this year is 3,000. I want our team to have 3,000 coaches. So, you know, what are we doing to get there? We're putting a plan together in place. You saw the schedule that I published. You know, one thing that Bob and Keith talked about is you have to have team unity and synergy, you know, and so that's why I've been trying to get us all on the same page, you know, instead of everybody doing their own thing at different times. You know, I try to put out like a team calendar, like, you know, the first week we're going to do the sneak peek. The next week we're going to do, you know, we're going to start the second and third week, we're going to start our premier groups, you know, and then we're going to, you know, start our new coach training, which we just kicked off, the 21-day kickstart, which will be the last week. So every week I'm going to publish this schedule, but it's pretty much going to stick to the same thing. And also I'm going to do the free boot camp training again, probably starting next month. That will be the second week of the month. So we'll get in a schedule, you know, so everybody they know when to recruit. You guys will know when to kick off your free boot camps. You know, you'll know when the coach training is, so we can just get in a habit, and, you know, that's going to help us get in a rhythm and really build this team. So, so that, you know, that's what my goal is. And more importantly, you know, I want to build leaders in this team. You know, right now, I think we're a pretty young team. We don't have a lot of leaders, but, you know, by Summit next year, my goal is to have 5 stars in this team. So I don't know who they are yet. Yeah, hopefully it's you know, you, Armando, and, you know, some of you other guys. But, you know, I mean, at least 5. We need 5 stars, a minimum, in this team. You know, we need leaders to be stepping up. We need diamonds to be stepping up, because, you know, I can't do it alone. Scott can't do it alone. You know, Brian can't do it alone. You know, we need you guys. So, you know, we're going to be dependent on you. We're going to be helping you. And, you know, that's my goal. So one thing that Keith and Bob talked about for how to grow your business that kind of hit home with me is the first thing you want to do, you know, obviously, if you're not Emerald, get to Emerald. But really what you're shooting for is you're shooting for Diamond. You know, that is your first major milestone. You want to get yourself to Diamond. That gives you the $18 cycle bonuses, right? That gives you the matching bonus where you earn 10% off of all your personally sponsored coaches, which may not be a lot in the beginning for you newer diamonds. You might see, you know, rather small matching bonuses, but trust me, that can really start to add up. You know, the longer you stay in the business and more personally sponsored coaches you get, and as that team volume grows, then you also get new coaches automatically assigned to you, right? So over 4 years, I've probably gotten 4 coaches assigned to me for free because I was a Diamond coach. So, you know, so those are just some of the advantages to getting to Diamond. So after you get to Diamond, then you want to get your spouse to Diamond. So everybody, you know, you have to understand that the second coach that you sign up needs to be your spouse. Okay? It doesn't matter if they want to work the business or not. You sign them up. They need to be in that top spot. That is the prime real estate. So think of Monopoly. That is Boardwalk. You want them at the top side of your tree, on the weak side. Okay? So don't worry about, you know, why is it the weak side versus strong side right now? We're not going to get into that. Just know that, get your spouse, as an Emerald coach, get them signed up on your weak side. And then after you get yourself to Diamond, get them to Diamond. Because one of the things that they mentioned that, I've known, but, it really hits home that, when you're a Diamond and you're just a Diamond by yourself, you're basically making 6% on all the volume that's below you. You guys realize that? 6%, okay? Now, if you have a spouse that's Diamond and you're running that volume through her, now she's going to cycle on it and you're going to cycle on it. So think about it this way. You're double dipping on the same amount of money. So instead of making 6% on all the volume below you, you're now making 12%. Does that sound like a good reason why everybody wants to get their spouse to Diamond? So after you get your spouse to Diamond, right, that's a Diamond on your weak side. Now you just need a Diamond on your strong side. And then at that point, you go 2-star, right? So the cool thing about going 2-star, that's the next major milestone. 1-star is great. Brian will tell you and Corey, but it's kind of like kissing your sister. You don't get anything for it, So 2-star is where you actually get something, right? You get the 2-star team bonus, which, I just got paid the 2-star bonus this week. It was, like $1,000. So you definitely, want to get to 2-star. Other thing that is huge about 2-star is you get to open up your second business center. So, I don't want to blow you new coaches away, but Beachbody allows you to open up a second business center every time that you get to 2-star. And basically that means that you can kind of clone yourself. You can have a mini me, and the nice thing about that is you have a coach underneath you who is basically, yourself, and you control that business center and you can, recruit coaches into that business center and you can grow that business center to Diamond. So that's your next step. So now think about it this way. What you do is you place, it's called stacking. So you stack your second business center underneath your spouse. So your spouse is on your weak leg. Your second business center is also on your weak leg underneath your spouse. So remember that 6% and then the 12% with your spouse. Now with the third business center, you're making 18%. So you asked me, how was I able to retire from my job last year? How am I able to make, multiple 6-figure income? It's through doing this, through stacking the business centers, through getting my wife to Diamond, through getting my second business center to Diamond. And now I've opened up my third business center. So that's what this is the way you guys need to build. So then the next thing that you want to do is you want to get yourself to 5-star. Lots of advantages with 5-star. You get to be elite. You get to get the 5-star bonus. Lots of other, you get to get on the wall. So after that, that's when you want to start getting 5-star diamonds. And that's what leads you to, true financial freedom. So, that's kind of what they were talking to us about. And that really hit home to me because that's my goals. That's what I want for us and for our team. And, I don't necessarily care about hitting 15-star diamond. That would be great. But more importantly is financial freedom. And I know you guys would all agree with that. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to who is next on our agenda. Mike is going to talk, Michael Lamb is going to talk about belief. So I'll turn it over to you, Mike.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Mike. So yeah, I had so many takeaways from this event that literally my hand was cramping up from writing so much. But the one that these guys kept circling around to, it started off with Tommy Migrant, who opened the speaking up. And if you guys didn't know Tommy from the National Wake Up Calls and everything, it doesn't take very much for him to get everybody fired up. But the one thing that they were talking about was belief, and what belief is going to do for your business. And so I'm glad that Greg went first talking about the vision. for me, it's a matter of believing in the vision, his vision, our leadership's vision for our teams, and also personal vision. Personal belief, who you are, what you can do with this business. So basically, just going through my notes, one of the first things that Tommy talked about was the belief bridge. And basically what he was saying is between, thinking about what you want, the success and everything that you want to have, and that actual success is belief. Okay. And with that, he had three parts, the should, the can, and the will. You need to get into your mind that, you need to start thinking, that you should be successful, and then go from there that 2, you can be successful with this business, and 3, you need to wrap your mind around the fact that I will be successful. Run your own race. Not everybody is going to be as successful. Whatever your idea of success is, whatever you believe it to be, run your own race. Don't compare yourself to everybody else. But after Tommy, it was like Greg said, it was Bob Lucido and Keith Callahan getting up, and they talked about their 4 pillars, building their business. And the number 1 pillar was, again, their belief. And something that really struck me was the fact that when you're trying to believe in yourself and everything, some folks might have this idea of, well, I'm on the weak leg of a weak leg of a weak leg, so I don't have all that volume under me, and woe is me and things like that. But Bob himself, he's in the Millionaire Club. He was on the inside leg of an Emerald coach, and between him and Keith, they turned around, and now they have, like I said, they're both in the Millionaire Club, and they both have, thousands of coaches underneath them. So, along with your belief, just getting that mindset that it doesn't matter where you start, it doesn't matter where you fall in the downline. You can do whatever you want to do with this business. Bob said that you can have all the training in the world, but if you don't have a concrete belief, it doesn't amount to squat. He used another S word, but that was in a group full of guys, so I'll let you figure out what that was. Something else that stuck with me was Bob talked about the fact that he believed in himself so much after going to Summit in 2010 that even after Keith Callahan had told him no, heck no, 3 times, Bob believed in himself. He believed in the mission of Beachbody. He went back to Keith, sat him down one last time and said, listen, this is where I'm going. You need to come with me. And finally, Keith, got on board. So my recommendation to you is that if you know someone who's going to make a dynamite coach, don't give up after the first, the second, or the third no. Keep them on your list, keep plugging away, and show them, this is what I believe, this is where I'm going, and, I want you to come with me. So what else? Basically, because I don't want to take up too much time, I wanted to just leave you with what, for me, where does your belief get reinforced? And I've got 4 things for you. The first is obviously, I think, for me, the wake-up calls. It's a weekly dose of personal development and just kind of a reaffirmation of what we do as coaches. Like Jeff Hill says on the call a lot, it's a noble, just cause that we have. So if you don't listen to those on a weekly basis, I would recommend it. 2 team calls, just like this. Greg lines up some pretty amazing people to be on these calls. So you need to make it a point to be on these calls, to, like I said, just solidify your belief in his vision, your own vision, and where you're going with this company. 3 would be personal development, which I'm not going to cover because I know Brian's going to. I don't want to step on his toes. But lastly, and probably most importantly, is events. I tell my coaches all the time that there is nothing like a live Beachbody event. So if you want to tap into some serious belief and, some serious whys and things like that, you need to be getting to your Super Saturdays. You need to be getting to Summit, because there is nothing like being in an arena with 10,000 coaches and every single one of you guys are crying because the 2 people up on stage are getting their $100,000 checks, and you're watching their story unfold about, their belief in themselves and what they did with it, and the success that they've had. So that's all my time. Thanks for listening, guys. I'm gonna turn it over to Edgar now.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Hello, everyone. This is Edgar DeBoue. And forgive the background noise as I am actually driving. But it's a great segue from Mike's talk on belief to my topic, which is sharing your story. And that particular topic was presented to us by Bo Nelson, who is who was an NFL safety for the Houston Oilers. And basically, he was just sharing how early on in his life, he wanted to be the best darn safety that the NFL actually would have. And as a result of that, as a young guy, a young preteen, he would be in the backyard practicing, and it was a consistent practice for him. And he continued until he high school and even college. And he gave us some stories where he wanted to go out for the football team. He suited up in his practice uniform, but because of his size and compared to the other guys, he pretty much was rejected. But he kept going back, and the tenacity that he had was certainly evident. He also kind of told us of a story with Jerry Rice when he was, I think, with the 49ers. During practice, Steve Young would be throwing footballs to the various receivers, and each of the receivers would kind of do their little slide, jerking around, moving and trying to be cute and catching the ball, whereas Jerry Rice, every time he touched the ball, he ran into the end zone. And both thought that was kind of odd. Everybody else was just catching the ball, throwing it back to Steve Young. But Jerry Rice, every time he touched the ball, he went to the end zone. So Bo would ask Jerry, what's the deal with that guy? And his response to him was that each time he touched the ball, he was going to be in the end zone. That was his story. And backing up, Bo's story was him being the best safety in the NFL. So again, each time Jerry Rice touched the ball, he went into the end zone, and that was his story. So Bo was trying to communicate to us that as we are Beachbody coaches, we need to make certain that we understand and communicate what our story is. And he would go off and say, have the question, why would people actually follow you? What would give them a reason to want to follow you? And he gave us 3 significant points, I thought. The more personal your story, the more universal it becomes. Bottom line, you are being relatable to others, and they see the true you. It's not about you being fake and trying to gain folk, but it's being who you really are and sharing that, and that story being able to relate and connect with others. Physicality goes back to a little bit to Mike's point of believes in your body influence. As we tell our story, we shouldn't limp, and we shouldn't kind of just drag. We should be excited about who we are, where we've become, where we're going, and be able to be contagious with our story, so that others will be able to gravitate to you and say, hey, I relate to you. I want to be able to join you. What do I need to do? And then lastly, generosity. Just basically not being closed-minded, not being always closed, but always opening yourself to others and being given. And by those three characteristics, he believes that if you are more personal with your story, if you have more physicality, and if you're more generous, those are the three characters that will allow people to want to follow you and attract to you more. So as coaches, we need to make certain that we create, we communicate, and we cash in on the promise or the power of our own life story in order to be successful in our coach business. So those are the points that I got from Mr. Bo Eason. Great speaker. So now I'll pass it on to Mr. Derek.
Hey everybody. So the piece that I really want to talk about, and I've heard this, is kind of funny. I mean, I've heard this many times on national wake-up calls and training and all the rest of this, but something about this time around, hearing it from Bob Lucido really kind of struck home. And treat it like a business. And that was, I guess, the one thing. I mean, he said right off the bat, what is your mission statement? And I really had to think about that. My business didn't have a mission statement. My business didn't know what it was focused on. And I kind of have, they talk about what's your why and, all of those kinds of statements. And so I really sat down and I wrote my mission statement to figure out what my business was about. And lo and behold, it lit a fire, because at that point, despite some of the feedback that I've heard from other coaches and some of the feedback that I've heard from other people I've spoken to about it, after writing my mission statement, I was convinced more and more that my audience is somebody that needs my help, that they are out there waiting for me to come and help them. And that really drove things in a way that I hadn't really considered. And I kind of took that premise of it's a business in a lot of different directions. So, I mean, I put together a 30-day business plan. I put together a 60-day business plan. I spent some time doing some mind mapping, which I suggest that everybody does. It's a little like a dream board, but it kind of, you start with a centralized topic and then just branch out in a stream of consciousness and figure out a way to organize things. And it's really helped me center around how I'm approaching this as a business. And in that regard, it's immediately shown some results. I feel for the first time, I took Leah Hennefield's advice, and she said invest in some images from Shutterstock, and bought a couple of images and made some professional graphics instead of doing PicMonkey, paid a graphic artist to use those photos, and running a campaign, and for the first time have actually spoken to my audience and am getting the kind of response that I would have expected. So I guess that's really the core of what this is, was that, I mean, these are guys that talked about understand the specifics of what it is as a business. Learn what a binary tree MLM company is all about. I had never even heard that term. I mean, I know that we are, but the funny part about it is after doing just a little bit of research on Google, I now understand placement. I now understand that video that I've watched a half dozen times from Scotty Hobbs that made no sense every time. A lot of things really clicked when I started looking at this like it was a real business. And in that regard, I mean, I feel a completely different fire than I had ever before, because I know for the first time that I am on mission and I'm here to be able to create that legacy, which was one of the things that they talked about, that will last well beyond my years. So that was really about all I had to say. It's a little quick, probably less than the 5 minutes, but I'm going to pass it on. Who was next, Greg? I'm sorry.
I'm next.
There we go, Brian.
Yes. Brian, take it away.
All right, guys. Good evening. Thank you for being here. Before I have the privilege to talk to you about personal development, okay? But before I do that, I just want to say,
Is everybody else hearing Brian breaking up? Yeah. Brian, are you there? I think we lost Brian. Scott, why don't you take it away, and then we'll come back to Brian when he connects.
All right, guys, sorry about that. Just having some technical difficulty with my PC. That's for you, Aaron. So, good evening, everybody. I'm Scott, and I'm super excited to talk to you today because this was an awesome event, and I cannot wait until we get more men and more women involved with meetings like we had here in Dallas. And what I'm talking about today is the concept of a playbook and your strengths. And this is one of the things that really touched me the most out of this entire conference, because I could really relate to it from when I first started as a Beachbody coach, not knowing jack about the business, just out there having great results with P90X, living my life better, and really getting engaged with people on the internet. You know, basically I started off with the Team Beachbody message boards, and it was outstanding. I was flying high every single day, reaching out to people every single day. And the little thing that I didn't realize that was my playbook. My playbook was very simple. It was, I got on the beach board, the message boards every day. I talked to people, I invited people, and I told my story to people every single day, like clockwork. As soon as I got up, at lunch, and in the evening time when I was shutting things down. And I did it consistently every single day without really understanding that was my biggest strength as a coach. And really, I didn't understand this concept when I first started. I felt I was winging it all the time. But now I can reflect, because I've been with the business for 5 years now, and I can truly see what my true strength was when I first started coaching versus what it is today. And that one little thing that I used to do exploded my business. I don't know about, most coaches, but I was fortunate enough to have fairly rapid success with this business. And it really, I owe it all to that one thing that I was doing. And it was one thing, guys. It was reaching out to people every single day. That's all I did. I didn't do anything else. I didn't try anything other fancy stuff. That's all I did. And I started attracting people. I started attracting people like Greg and other people. And pretty soon I had 40-something coaches. And that's how my business blew up. But here's the fracture of my business. And this is, some of you are going to step back and go, what? One of our top coaches had problems? Yes, we're human too. We're going to have the same problems that you have. And here's one of the things and I do not want you to fall in this pit that I fell into, is there's a lot of shiny objects around you on this journey. A lot of them. A lot of people saying, hey, go do this. You're going to get a lot of people over here. Or, hey, go try this. This is going to work for you. Throw all that crap out the door, because it's not true. It's a bunch of shiny objects distracting you from what you truly do best. And that is your strength. So you need to find that one strength that you have, the one thing that you do really well, and master it. Stop focusing time on all this other stuff that isn't driving your business. Don't worry about developing this rock star website. Don't worry about getting massive SEO and all this other stuff. If you're good at communicating with people, communicate with people. Become a master at that. If you're good at working with the Team Beachbody message boards, focus on that and dominate it. Keep working it. If you're good with social media, a lot of us are really good at social media, then that's your niche. That is where you need to focus. And don't worry about all the other shiny objects. And that one little thing is your playbook. It's just like the football coach out there on the field. He has a lot of plays that he can deal with, right? But when he's playing a single team, he has a few options that he's going to play with that team, and it's all in that playbook. So write down those steps, guys. Don't deviate from them. Don't think that, hey, the grass is greener if I go try this other stuff, because it's not. Focus on the simple things that you do best, and you will succeed. You'll explode. It may take you a year. It may take you 2 years. But if you're consistent and you continually put effort in mastering that one thing that you do well, you're going to do business. You're going to do well in this business, and you're going to do well in life. That's just how it is. And take it from me, because when I stopped doing that one thing, my business started retracting. Because I heard all these stories about people going, hey, you need to go and try this. This is really working for me. So I went and dumped $1,000 over here and I did this. And then, oh, wow, here's the next shiny thing. And I went and did that. The one thing it wasn't, those weren't my strengths. Those were my weaknesses. I had no idea how to be a top web designer. I had no idea how to do SEO, the way that the pros do. I had no idea how to do that. I could do it, but I was a hack at it. I wasn't a master at it. And if you're not a master at it, get out of it, because you're going to waste your time. You're going to spin your wheels, and then you're going to see your business retreating. And then you're going to start retreating from the group. And then pretty soon, you're going to start retreating from your fitness. Okay? So that is my one biggest takeaway that I took out of this, because I could totally relate to the playbook analogy. It was like that epiphany moment, that aha moment that we always talk about. It's a great reflection for me. And I hope that it's a little bit of a reflection for you, because it's a true statement. And I'm going to point out Greg on this one, because when we started together, we did a lot of things together, and I kept saying, hey, Greg, I'm going to go try this other thing. I'm going to go try this other thing and do this. And man, I hear it's doing great. And Greg would send me a message saying, yeah, tell me how that works out. And you know what? Greg's a 2-time elite coach now. He's got rock star coaches underneath him. And I still have a very successful business, but I guarantee you, I blew $1 million opportunity by doing that, guys. So do not do what I did and waste time in places where you don't have a strength. Don't sit there and think that, oh, but I'm weak in this area and I'm weak in that area. Don't give a crap about your weaknesses. Build up your strengths, because you all have a very, very good strength in you. Find that strength and develop it. And that's really all I wanted to talk about, guys. So put those strengths together, put them on your daily playbook, and every day when you wake up, open your playbook and play. That's all you got to do. Thanks for listening to me. You're next.
All right.
Johnny boy.
Let's go back to Brian. I think he's back on, so let's see if his computer works this time.
Okay, I start talking, and all you guys left the room. I don't know what happened. Was I that bad? All right. Okay, so I was gonna go through some stuff. I'm gonna try to condense it. So if I talk a little fast, I do apologize. My topic and what I took away from this is on personal development. Now, you already heard from Mike. Mike talked in the beginning about belief. Edgar talked about the power of your own personal story and how to tell it. Derek talked about applying the personal development that he learned from this leadership and having those aha moments. And Scott Gore, he just talked about figuring out your strengths and then owning your strengths. Okay, so how do you do all this stuff? How do you learn how to do all this stuff? And the key to being successful at all of that stuff lies in personal development. When I first started coaching, Greg would tell me, Greg is my coach, and he would tell me how important that this is. Beachbody tells you how important it is, the vital behaviors. But I, was more of the cynical approach that I don't need personal development. I can do this business. Just give me the X's and the O's, But I was completely wrong with that. Our business here, what we do, it's and at the leadership conference, Mike spoke about this. It's about belief that we can succeed, belief that we will succeed. And that was something that Keith Callahan and Bob Lucido went over when they talked about their 4 pillars of success. I mean, that's the number 1 pillar. Okay, so how do you nurture and grow your beliefs and your abilities? And you do that through personal development. Okay, plus our business is built on relationships. Okay, not only making relationships, but sustaining those relationships. As coaches, we have to be in that right frame of mind 24/7, 365 days a year. You know, our business is built on many different tools, time management, you know, having those daily disciplines in place, you know, and it's all about learning, you know, you know, and we're going to face adversities, we're going to face struggles. And Josh Spencer was another top coach that talked at the leadership conference, and he went into great detail about that. And one thing one theme through the whole leadership conference, every coach that got up there on stage, they spent a ton of time talking about personal development and how they utilize it and what they do. Some of these coaches have really crazy rituals. I don't know if you saw, Greg posted the closing by Jimmy Nelson today. I think it was today in the Team Engage Network. And Jimmy talks about a little bit about it. You know, his ritual in the morning where he wakes up, first thing he does is he puts in his earbuds and it's personal development. Okay. Then he goes downstairs and he's got this rock ritual that he picked up from Bo Eason, one of the other speakers that was there. You know, he stands on these rocks so he can balance himself, you know, before he starts his day, you know, so he's got personal development kicking, he's standing on these rocks, you know, and then he's ready to go and he's ready to tackle whatever the day is going to bring. PJ McClure, another coach that was there, awesome speaker. All the coaches were, you know, just awesome speakers. And let me tell you, that's another thing with personal development, because that's, as you become more successful in this business, and you start leading your own teams, you have to get out there and you have to, you know, right now, you know, you're doing it by talking to customers and, you know, and trying to get customers to join your groups and stuff. But then eventually when you get to sign up coaches, you're going to be having meetings and talking to these coaches, you know. So in order to be able to do that, you know, you have to work on yourself, you know, and make sure that you're working on everything that you can to make sure that you're a better speaker, you know, to make sure that you can recognize all different personalities that people have and try to tailor yourself while still remaining true to your own beliefs when you talk to people. And all those things you learn from personal development. Okay, so one thing before I pass it on over, I think John's going next. I just want to share with you 3 books that I highly recommend with personal development. And you can there's lots of lists in Team Engage. If you go to the file section, you'll find some lists of books. But these are my personal favorites, okay? And I'll go through this real quick. Your Erroneous Zones by Wayne Dyer. Okay, this book is awesome, and it's all about combating negative thinking, you know, all that negative thinking and turning it into positive thinking and positive thoughts, because that's where all of our actions come from every day. Everything that we do, what we do first is always a thought, okay, before we do anything. And then that thought turns into actions. So if you can work on those thoughts that you have all the time, positive thoughts is going to translate into positive actions. I'm not going to spend much time on this because everyone here should have this book already. Boom, compound effect. Last book, Eat That Frog. Okay, and this book is all about time management, personal development about time management. And just quick, if you guys don't know what that means, Eat That Frog. It's a saying by Mark Twain, and it is every morning. If the first thing you do every morning is eat a live frog, it's probably going to be the worst thing you have to do all day. So what he's saying is, in the morning, tackle that thing that is probably going to have the biggest impact on your business and maybe your life. You know, don't procrastinate on it. Tackle it first thing every single day. Okay. So those are my 3 books. That's what I took away from it. Just, you know, I had personal development in my life before the leadership conference, and now it's like light speed with what I'm doing with it now. I've even incorporated Jimmy's ritual. I need to find some rocks though to stand on. So that's it. That's me, and I'll pass it over to John.
All right, thanks, Brian. All right, so before I talk about hustle, which Gary Vaynerchuk said was the most important word ever, I just want to double back and echo what Scott Gore said about focusing on your strengths. That's one of the notes I took down too. One of the quotes that came out of Tommy Migrant, every football team runs a different offense, so don't forget that. Don't follow a process if it's not you. Everyone doesn't have to do 30-day challenges. Everyone doesn't have to do 7-day Shako challenges. Everyone doesn't have to be running ads on Facebook. So do what works for you. So the word hustle, Greg posted this video in the group, in the Engaged Coaches group, about a week ago from Gary Vaynerchuk called The Most Important Word Ever. Hopefully you all saw it. If not, go back and look at it. This is all about work ethic. And this means a lot to me because I've always been the workaholic. I've always been the kind of guy that gets to work before everyone and stays late and makes every minute of the day count. And this really is the message of that video. And it didn't just come out of Gary Vaynerchuk's mouth that day, but all of the coaches on the stage were echoing how much work they put into getting to where they are. So, an example of making every minute of every day count, while I've been sitting here, I've actually scheduled a follow-up call this weekend with one of my prospects that's in the sneak peek. So, not missing a minute. I'm not going to wait half an hour to get back to her. You have to take advantage of every minute. But a couple things that he had to say, do you have favorite TV shows in prime time, every night of the week? You need to stop that. You can't do that every night of the week and grow this to a very successful business. Spend that time, sending out some friend requests, messages, follow-ups. Do you have favorite video games? Are you a video game geek? Well, if you want to be one of those people on stage, you got to stop that too. You got to stop it and do personal development or something that really grows your business. Hard work is how all those leaders on the stage got to where they are. And they underscore that you really have to sacrifice something. You've got to sacrifice and give up something that's important to you if this is important to you also. If you're working this business 5 hours a week, you're probably not going to get very far, especially if those hours are all on the weekend, because the business is just going to run right by you. Everybody's got time to make this business work. You're just going to have to drop the activities that don't add value to the business. Put all your effort into achieving whatever your goal is. If your goal is growing this business to be 5-star, you got to put all your effort into growing this to be 5-star. If your goal is to coach your kids' Little League team and not this, well, then go coach your kids' Little League team. But it's all about what goal is important to you. Just one final thought, Josh Spencer. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of this coach, Josh Spencer, before tonight. I had never heard of him before the Dallas meeting, and he was up on stage. And to me, he struck me kind of as a one-hit wonder. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because he was the top coach in 2010. So he was like the top dog in 2010. And then I got the impression that he basically fell off the face of the earth. But the quote that he left us with was, look, give it 1 year of sacrifice and you'll get a lifetime of freedom. And really what he was trying to say is that he busted his ass for a year. And I think if you sacrifice and work really hard for a year or two, you can get yourself over that hump and you might be able to find that lifetime of freedom. But you got to work hard and you got to hustle. So that's it, Greg.
Okay, thanks a lot, John. And yeah, you're right. Josh Spencer he sponsored Wayne Wyatt, which if you guys have heard him, he was another top coach. And he has a huge downline now, and I'm sure he was one of the $1 million a year coaches. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you for all the guys who attended, and all the guys that spoke here tonight. I can't stress enough that if you get to events, that it can change your life. It can change your business. You'll hear on the National Wake Up Call so many coaches who will say, I went to a Super Saturday or I went to Summit, and that's when their business took off. Get to these type of events. This is not going to be the last men's conference. They're going to do it every single year. They'll probably start doing a women's conference and have to, reserve like a whole city, but there's going to be a lot more of these. So I'm going to open it up to questions. We have About 5 minutes left. So does anybody have any questions? You could take yourself off mute and go ahead and ask.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm a senior citizen, and I'm wondering if Beachbody ever had a notion maybe to start looking at that market, because lots of baby boomers are now becoming older, and me being already 67 now, and I only heard about Beachbody at the middle of February, never heard of it before, live in Canada. Was thinking of, and I have a lot of friends that are my age. How can I approach a senior citizen with this idea? Because, lots of them do take supplements and things like that. So I think Shakeology most probably would be great for them. But some of course, the exercises might not be for everybody.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, Beachbody goes after, I could tell you, Carl Deichler, he goes after every segment. He doesn't just go after, 20-something girls. He goes after, men, women of all ages. I remember at Summit a couple years ago, he talked all about his dad, that he wanted Tai Chang to be designed for his dad, who is in his 60s or 70s, I forget. But, he wanted that program designed for older people. And I know it was funny, we were just talking about Josh Spencer, but I sat next to Josh Spencer at one of the events that I went to, and he was obviously over, 65, and he said that's his whole market, that's who he goes after, And it's funny because Josh has, brought his dad into it, and now his dad is all gung-ho, and he's going after that same market segment. So I don't know if anybody else has, any response to that question that they want to chime in with.
Well, the one thing about with our products at Beachbody, I mean, especially on our supplement line, I mean, the one thing that we have going for this company is all of our supplements are all natural. So it's a good selling point to any age bracket. Shakeology is definitely one of the higher end products on the market, but it's something that you definitely can make traction in any age bracket. Again, the biggest thing is we just have to sell the value of the product, understand the product, because senior citizens are going to be a little bit more leery because most are no longer working. They're on, they have a budget that they've put aside. So they need to understand the value of that product. And you can probably attest to that, hey, I'm going to laser focus in on my money versus this shake that I'm drinking, cause I know that's exactly what my dad told me, when I started forcing him to drink it. But, once he started seeing the benefits of Shakeology, he was like, hey, this stuff really does work. It's helped him get off of medications. And, he feels better. He's lost weight. So it's definitely, I would focus a lot more time on the supplement side. And like Greg said, the Tai Chang, that's a great breakthrough program, to get somebody that has been, hasn't been working out for many, many years, and it's nice and slow and easy to work with. So, and I'm sure there's going to be more stuff coming up, as we grow as a business. There's going to be other programs that are going to be out there for sure.
Yeah,
okay, thank you.
I just want to add, Lisa, don't forget P90. So the path would be Tai Chang if they're immobile. If they can move, then P90 is a good option. And if they can get through P90, they can do most of the rest of the programs. So
okay.
That's the path.
Yeah, I'm doing T25, so it's my first program.
Well, and also the Beachbody On Demand, because
I have that too. But I want to stick with one right now to work.
Yeah. well, the nice thing about Beachbody On Demand, it comes with the Tai Chang. It doesn't come with the
I saw that. Actually, they just added it, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah. But my father-in-law, who's 73.
I'll take a look at that and then can tell my friends to start looking at those.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I'd like to see a raise of hands. Who on this call is going to go to a Beachbody event this year? Who's going to commit to going to a Beachbody event this year? All right. That's what's going to start it, guys.
How many events, right?
There you go.
There you go.
How many do they hold? I host Super Saturday in my city. Y'all come on down.
That's right. You got 3 more Super Saturdays. There's Summit, you know, so. All right. Anybody else?
We're good. We're good.
All right. Well, thank you all for attending, and stay tuned for our next call. It's going to be, I'll just announce it now. In 2 weeks, we're going to have Andrea Crowder on the line. She's going to be our special guest speaker. So if you don't know who she is, she's an amazing speaker. I mean, a coach, and she specializes in Facebook and social media. So you definitely want to be here. She is or was a 15-star qualifying coach. I don't think she quite made it yet, but she has 22 lifetime diamonds. So, and I can tell you that she was probably a year ago, she was only like a 5-star. So she's added all this in like 1 year of focusing on her business, and that's what she's going to talk about. So have a great night, guys. See you